Hello, welcome back to the Canyon Heights Ward podcast. I am your host, Gregory Gene Conrad, and today we are meeting with Sister Carleigh Carter. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, finished work today, so I'm happy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet. Maybe we'll start there. What do you do for work?
I am a general production technologist at Sandia Labs. So,
Okay. And what
yeah,
does that mean in as far as you can?
that's a good question. I just started in this position like a month ago about. So pretty much I'm supporting like a couple teams with some administrative stuff, and then I'll like help out with some kind of minimal testing. I manage inventory, stuff like that.
How did you get into this position?
Oh, good question. I've been with Sandia for a couple of years as an administrative assistant, and uh, I grew up in Albuquerque, so I've always known about Sandia Labs and like that it's a good workplace. So that kind of sparked the interest in it, and then these positions kind of went hand in hand with my English degree at first. So yeah, it's just kind of evolved into this.
So you write a lot of technical stuff then, or what
Um,
right? How does English help you?
I'm a big supporter of English degrees because I've gotten the question a lot, like, well, what do you do with an English degree? And the biggest thing I feel like with my English degree is that it developed like my critical thinking to like
Okay.
look at texts and to find bigger meanings and to kind of, I guess, find unusual meanings or solutions to stuff. So I feel like that was a really good base, and that's what's helped with the job. I do write some occasional technical documents, and I'll edit some, but that's like a pretty small part of my job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's jump all the way back to childhood. What is your earliest memory, or one of them?
Earliest memory? That's a tough one because I have a terrible memory. So
Well,
earliest,
what is one memory that you can think of fairly easily uh, from your childhood?
um, I do remember this is probably when I was like, I don't know, at least 5, but being on like a little kid's soccer team.
Okay.
And I I don't even remember, but we were like trying to name the team and they were trying to get ideas from the kids and stuff. And I think we ended up being like the Blue Angels or something because our jerseys were blue.
Yeah,
So
cool.
I remember that.
I played soccer when I was in middle school,
Oh, nice.
while too. Uh, I think earlier than that too, for a while. So
Yeah. I think I played for 2, maybe 3 years as a little kid, and then that was about it.
yeah.
As far as
Um,
soccer.
did you switch to other sports as you grew up, or did you leave sports behind?
Um, I was never much of a sports player. In middle school, I was on like the tennis team, and I did that for a couple of years. And then I, of course, did like church volleyball and basketball. And I do like volleyball. Not a huge fan of basketball playing, but I do
Yeah,
like volleyball.
I do. I love volleyball. I may
Yeah.
not be good at it, but
Yeah. It's just fun.
I'm somewhat okay-ish at it.
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
it's yeah. So um okay. So tell me, so where did you grow? You said you grew up here.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. born and raised in Albuquerque. I went to La Cueva High School on kind of the other side of Albuquerque, and my parents still live over there in the house that it's the only house I remember. I think they moved there when we were like 2 or 3, or when I was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hometown Albuquerque.
I grew up in Rio Rancho, so, and then
Nice.
transplanted to Albuquerque
Yeah.
10 or 15 years ago, with my parents. Tell me about high school.
High school. Um, it was okay. It's an okay experience, I think, for most people.
Better
um,
than middle school, I'm
so
thinking.
much better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
much better. In high school, I mean, I've I always say that I was a super very shy in high school and just kind of a weird kid. I hung around people who were like theater kids. One was dance, one was like goth. So I
Yeah.
called us like the misfits in high school. That was like our group.
Okay,
So yeah, I
cool.
liked it.
I what electives did you end up taking?
I know I did. I think I did DECA, like the business club, for a year or two, and but the one I liked the most was ceramics.
Ceramics.
That was a fun one. Yeah.
It's fancy.
Yeah, I
Haven't
still
heard
have.
of that class before.
Yeah, I think it was kind of unique because I think the teacher that we had, like he had bought a lot of the pottery wheels himself. And so like other schools that maybe had ceramics had like 5 pottery wheels, where our class had like 20 or 25.
Yeah.
Those, I think it was unique because a lot of that was like his personal equipment.
So was it called ceramics or was it art and he did ceramics?
It was pure ceramics.
Pure
Yeah.
ceramics.
Mhm.
And how did that go for you? Well, I guess it went well because you said it was your favorite.
Yeah, I took that for 2 years, and I still have a couple of the things that I made in ceramics, and I think they're decent, for a high school kid. It's surprisingly hard to do stuff like that, like the pottery wheel, and there's like a certain way that you I don't even remember what it's called now, like knead the clay, and you try and get like a spiral in your clay, and then you put it on the wheel, and that way it's easier to like mold into a bowl and stuff like that. But I never totally got the hang of that.
Yeah, my hands probably be too shaky to ever do such a thing.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, but it's fun. Messy.
Um, so what happens after high school?
For me, I went to it's a like a 2-year college in Arizona. It's right over like the border into Arizona in a town called Thatcher. So it's Eastern Arizona College. And
Okay.
it's a lot of like Latter-day Saint kids will go there because I think it did used to be a church school and then eventually got kind of like sold to the state. But so it's like a big
Hmm.
LDS population there and a lot of the school. So I got my associate's degree there. And then I moved to Mesa, Arizona for a couple of years, and then went to BYU, Idaho, and got my bachelor's.
You went from very hot to very cold.
Yeah, yeah, I did. Yes, I actually went to BYU, or up to Rexburg twice because I went for my own bachelor's. And then when Pennington and I got married after about a year, we went to BYUI for his bachelor's. And so we went in like September. So we went pretty much from Arizona summer to Idaho winter, like right when we moved, and
Hmm.
that was shocking.
Yeah. I hear are all the buildings interconnected so that you never have to walk outside?
I think there are a couple. There's like there are like two underground tunnels where you can get from building to building. And then like the main sidewalks in the middle of the buildings are actually heated. And so it melts the snow and the ice on those. But otherwise, yeah, you're trekking in the snow.
Yeah, I was at BYU for a year. I hated the snow.
It's fun for the first couple weeks, and then it just goes on and on.
I like looking at the snow like on
Yeah.
TV,
Yeah, it's
especially
beautiful.
like Lord of the Rings, which I'm big
Hmm.
to. The beginning of the Two Towers. It's showing those the mountains, the 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 really snowy mountains, and then it goes into Gandalf falling down and things.
Yeah,
It's just gorgeous
yeah.
snow.
Legolas walking on top of the snow.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, did you ever try like skiing or snowboarding or?
I'm pretty prone to breaking bones. So I've done one. I did like ski lesson once when we went to Colorado as a family, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. I just that's not something that appeals to me as a fragile person.
Yeah, I did it. We did cross country skiing as a family when I was in elementary school. After
That's
that, it
cool.
stopped, and then I stopped liking the snow.
Had
Yeah,
enough of it as a kid, and that was it.
yeah. Well, and being a scout, going to the Klondike Derby, some people love it. It was just miserable every time I went.
Yeah.
Um, so tell me about how you met Pennington.
We met in a singles ward in Arizona. So we were in the same singles ward. And the first time we met was an activity, and we were quilting. And
Was in Mesa or Thatcher?
in Mesa. Yeah.
Mesa. Okay.
Yeah. And it was funny because his name's Pennington, his first name, and then his best friend is Dexter. So it was like so unique to be sitting with people who were Pennington and Dexter. And I was like, that sounds like a British radio show or something.
Yeah.
But so it like stood out in my mind. And then I think a couple of months later, he started coming to game nights that we hosted at our house, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Cool. Um, uh, let's switch gears. So, did you, what role has missionary service played in your life?
Missionary service. Um, I mean, I would say that the biggest thing that I can think of off the top of my head is that Pennington served a mission, and I just feel like that was really foundational to the person that he is now, and like he's so like steady in the gospel, and
Mhm.
um, really loves to serve people, and I think a lot of that stems from his mission. And so, I mean, maybe that's what drew us together. I don't know, but I'm really grateful for his mission. And then we were
I guess
in,
I'm gonna ask him this
yeah.
next week, but where do you serve?
Oh, he served in Guadalajara, Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, which has also been awesome because he's fluent in Spanish. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
helpful
it's
in New Mexico.
good. Yeah, in New Mexico.
Yeah.
It's gets you a lot farther than studying Klingon or Elvish here in New Mexico.
I mean, maybe less fun, but it is more useful,
Yeah,
I think.
really, all I know of Klingon is "Dosh no blimbo ja," and it means "pass the milk, please." I don't know how I ever learned that. And part of me really questions whether a Klingon would ever say the word please.
That
But
was what I was just thinking. I was like, please is part of their vocabulary.
uh,
That's funny.
so so what callings have you had that have stuck out over the years in church?
Hmm, callings.
What,
I've had quite a few callings. I've moved around quite a bit. Um, but I think the ones that stick out were I was the ward chorister in our YSA ward, like before Pennington and I got married. And so I got to I like music, and so it was fun to be the ward chorister. And then I also was like the ward choir director at the same time. And so I really enjoyed that. And then I've been in Young Women's a couple times, including currently, and I really love working with the young women.
so music, did you study music at all in college or high school?
I played flute from 5th grade to 8th grade, and I can still kind of play. Still have my flute, and I did piano lessons for a couple of years, so I can read music for sure, and I can sing, and I'm not very passable on the piano anymore, but I've been trying to practice again. So
Okay.
yeah.
What life experience has caused you to trust most in God?
Well, I'll give you kind of a silly example and then a more serious one. But
Okay.
when we were talking about my ceramics class in high school, I was thinking about how there was one time when I had this ring that I wore all the time that was like in the shape of a whale, and I really loved it. And I would take it off to do ceramics, and I would like put it in the corner of the pottery wheel. And one day I was like in my next class and I was like, where's my ring? And I was like, you know what I did is I put it on the pottery wheel and I put like my clay on top of it, and then I threw it in like the junk bucket of clay. And so it was like a trash can filled with water and like excess clay. And I was like, I'm never going to find it. And so like after class, I said a little prayer on my way back to the ceramics class. And I went to the water bucket that I thought I threw my clay in. And I like put my hand in there and immediately picked out my ring. And so that just kind of gave me an early like trust and faith in the power of prayer, and that Heavenly Father cares about, our silly stuff like finding a ring.
Yeah.
So that was really good. And then as an adult, I mean, it's similar, but just like going through experiences and highs and lows, and just having so many experiences, especially with like prayer and paying tithing, where I have directly seen blessings come from that like right away, and just continually building that faith in Heavenly Father and his guidance to us.
Okay. And what has nurtured your testimony the most during your adult life?
It has been interesting becoming an adult, and when you shift between your testimony like as a kid and a teenager, which is a lot based on kind of like what your parents are teaching you or your leaders, and then becoming an adult. And for me, I mean, it's different experiences for everybody, but for me, gaining like my own testimony like after that fact, and I mean, moving away from home and just becoming your own person, you have to learn to build habits and to be able to build your testimony for yourself. So like figuring out what helps you, and like the best way to study your scriptures is going to be different for everybody, and like the time of day, like all these little things you learn for yourself. And
Yeah. Was there one special story that sticks out when you're talking about gaining your own testimony as an adult?
Yeah, when I was at Eastern Arizona College, so like right after I moved away from home in that like first or second year, one of those, I'd never really been like a daily scripture study. I'd never been very good about that. And one of my college roommates was really good about reading her scriptures every day and praying every day. And I was like, I should try that, and just kind of like arbitrarily thought, or, was prompted or whatever it was. But
Right.
that was like for like a year or more, that was a period of my life where I was really, really good about reading the scriptures every day. And I kept a gratitude journal, and I was praying like twice a day, every day. And I have never since then been that good about it, but that was a real period of growth for me. So that was cool.
Sweet. Tell me a little about like hobbies now, and just like if you're introducing yourself to a group of people, what does that look like? And what does that make sense? Probably.
Yeah. Um, it's funny to me because I'm like, my list of hobbies, I could go on for a long time because I've had a lot of different hobbies and collected a lot of different things and stuff like that. But currently, I would say my biggest, it is a hobby, but is reading. I like reading, and my sister and I actually host a book podcast, and so that's been really fun and like a little kind of bonding experience for us to do that. And
so is it a book review podcast or?
Yeah, we do. Every other one is a book review where we just talk about a specific book or two. And then on the other weeks, we do, sometimes we'll just do like a book related game, or we'll talk about an aspect of like the book community and stuff like that. So we just have fun.
So what is it called? Where can people find it if you feel inclined to invite people into that space? If not, that's okay.
No, I would love it. It's called Shelf Obsessed. Shelf Obsessed, and it's on like Spotify and Apple Music and stuff. It should be pretty much everywhere you can listen to a podcast. But
So what is your favorite book?
my favorite book is, I mean, it's hard to narrow it down, but I've said for a long time, The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
That's up there.
Yeah. I've never read it.
I think I had to read it twice.
Really know it's like 1920s, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Leonardo DiCaprio's in the film.
Yes, he's in the latest movie version.
So what do you like about that story?
I think the first time I read it was probably assigned in like freshman year, and I didn't read it because I didn't like being told what to read. So I was a stinker. But I think it was senior year that I read it fully for the first time. And I just loved the character of Jay Gatsby, because his ideas of like ideal, and he was a little bit delusional, but he was a person that had like reinvented himself and like the way that he thought about the world was, to me, like really charming. So,
Okay.
and then of course the book is devastating. So I just loved it and have loved it ever since.
So you went from, and of course the book was just devastating to, and so of course I really loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell
I
me
think
about the devastation that's appealing.
I think sometimes that's part of being like a book reader, is that you are just like, "Oh, that book made me just sob. I
Ah,
loved it."
okay. Yeah.
I like the feeling of it like sticking with you, and or like the lessons that you can learn from it. But it,
Okay. Yeah, I I have a hard time now with like light, happy-go-lucky kind of stories. I'm like, there's no struggle in that.
yeah.
And like my life is only struggle. It's it's nothing like I thought it would be. And so
Mhm.
uh with I just don't connect to the, I mean, I was the biggest Disney movie fan growing up, and
Mhm.
not anymore. I'm just like, I can't watch it. Other than Aladdin, because it had Robin Williams in it.
It's a great choice. Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
of course
It's
there's
hard because
a
you,
lot of real drama and struggle and character creation in The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
I definitely love a book or like a movie or whatever that can devastate me, because I mean I think part of that is, you know, you're invested in it and you care about it. But then sometimes I need a break, you know, and I'll read, there's like a new genre of book called like cozy fantasy is a big one.
yeah,
And it's basically like books that have very low stakes. So there's not like world ending drama or anything. It's just, you know, it'll be like, a big one right now is Legends and Lattes is a book, and it's about like a orc who retires from adventuring, and she builds like a coffee cafe. And so it's like, that's the whole book, is her building this cafe and like meeting people in the town and stuff like that. And I'm like, that sounds lovely.
yeah,
Sometimes you need to turn the brain off and just have something fluff.
right. Um, Sounds like orc mischief to me, though,
Yeah.
to quote Treebeard. But I
Yeah.
should get off my horse. But
Yeah, very different from the orcs in Lord of the Rings. I
yeah,
would say that.
um, I just came across a show on Netflix, the Bureau of Magical Things, and
Oh,
to me, it fits that very low stakes fantasy thing.
yeah.
Um,
I'll have to look that up. I've never heard of that, I don't think.
it's they're short episodes, which I love. I really wish that these streaming services would have some kind of a filter for long versus short.
They should. Yeah.
So, but um is before I ask the last question, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you think would be meaningful to convey or just want to convey? Uh, any part of you that we haven't delved into?
I mean, I can't think of anything. Like if anybody ends up with questions after this, I love chatting with people. So
Okay,
people are welcome to come and ask questions.
that's good to know, and you'll probably have a lot of people ask you questions now. So, um, well, yeah. So last question is, find it. Um, if you could send one message 100 years into the future for your posterity to hear, what would it be?
I am I'm a huge proponent of loving people for who they are, and I hope that everybody is. I think so. But yeah, I would just say, like, be kind to everyone and have an open mind. People might be going through hard times, and that can affect the way that they treat people, but it shouldn't affect the way that you treat people. And just love everyone.
That's an awesome message. So, um, that's it. Thank you for joining us today. And we'll meet your husband next time.
Yep.
And it's been good to get to know you.
Yeah.
And that podcast was Shelf Obsessed. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay. I might have to look into it.
Yeah. Give it a
Oh,
listen.
yeah. As a guy who does podcasts, but
Mhm.
um I'll let you go. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. This was fun.
We'll see you, audience, next time. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.